Hi, it's Pete Norstead here. I just want to go through a few things because people have been asking me a few questions about the pre-match to in play. So there's some Japanese matches taking part this morning. So we'll have a look at one of these. So if we go through here, these are the games taking place. If you go through and just filter Japan, it brings out the Japanese J League matches. Let's say, for example, let's have a look at the Kyoto versus Kashima. We go here, we have a look at the top bit. Basically, it's got the 11 o'clock Japanese J Kyoto versus Kashiwa. It's a super competitive match because both sides are the home side's under 3 and the away side's under 3. And basically, what this represents here is the odds and the percentage of that happening. So, for example, in the first half, over 1.5 goals, the odds are 3.6, and so that implies a 27.78 chance percent of that happening. Under 1.5, 1.37 it's priced at, and it's that equates to a 72.99% chance of that happening. So these are basically the odds at the start and the percentage chances. Here we look at bookies, points, and return on investment. Now, if we have a look at the Japanese league, there's been 520 matches where both sides, the home and away side, have been under 3. In that time, the home side have won 33. So here we go, home back, and they've won 33% of those matches. Now, if you'd have backed on each one, you'd have lost 56.54 points, 45 points. So you'd be minus 10.86 return on investment. Kyoto, they've had 8 matches in this situation. They have won none of them. So they've won none of the 8. So you'd have been down minus 8 points, minus 100% return on investment. Kashiwa, when they've had 32 matches in this position, and the home side have only won 25%. 8 of them they've won. So you'd have been minus 10.5 points if you'd have backed the home side in each match, minus 33% return on investment. So if we look here, if you'd have laid the home side, obviously this is opposite to this. So it's 30. If you'd have backed the home side, you won 33. You lay, you won 66% of the time. So you'd have won here 42.5 points. You'd have had a return on investment of 4.86. If you'd laid Kyoto, you'd had a return on investment of 55.94. And if you lay the home side in Kashiwa's games, you'd have had an 18% return on investment. If we have a look at the draw here, again, the draw, if you'd have backed the draw in all 520, you'd be minus 5.02%. If you'd have laid the draw, you'd be plus 0.86. In Kyoto's matches, if you'd have backed the draw, you'd have won 37% of the time, and you'd have made 30.25% return on investment, 2.42 points from the 8 matches. Kashiwa, if you'd have backed the draw in all their matches, you'd be minus 0.8 points and minus 2.5% return on investment. If you'd laid the draw, you'd show a slight profit in the league as a whole. You'd have made a loss in Kyoto's matches and a small loss in Kashiwa's. The away side. Backing the away side in the league, 520 matches gives you a 7.16%. If you back the away side in Kyoto's games, you'd have had a 72.62% return on investment. Kashiwa, if you'd have backed the away side or backed Kashiwa in their matches in this position, you'd be 25% return on investment. If you'd have laid the away side, as you can see, you'd have made a large loss. So this suggests here that Kyoto are worth taking on. Now here, there's many ways you can do this. You could either lay Kyoto, you could back them on the back Kashiwa on the handicap. If we go on to Pinnacle, I'll just go on to Pinnacle here. We'll have a look at the odds for the Japanese matches. See Kashiwa this morning. Kyoto, you see scratch, so you could back Kashima scratch 1.93, or like I say, you lay Kyoto um, on the exchange. So obviously that doesn't look, it doesn't look good there. Anyway, so that sort of explains that, and the more points, obviously, the return on investment, the better it is. So what you're looking is for dark greens basically, and everything's pointing to like I say, going against Kyoto. Let's have a look at the averages for league and last 20, 10 and 5 matches of the sides. Super competitive match. This is how it sort of lines up. So it suggests when there's a super competitive match that the leaning is to the away side of 139% of the games. So as you can see for the odds here, it does suggest that the away side are probably favoured. The draw, not so much here. And this is basically what's happened in those matches. The average goals here, 2.71 have been seen in here. And this is one here that is of interest. The home side have scored first 43% of the matches, and they've gone on to win 61% of the matches. The away side have scored first in 49% of the matches and gone on to win 65% of the matches. If we have a look at both teams now, last 20 matches, as we can see, the implied odds, like in Kashiwa's, Kyoto's thing, they've won 25% of them, they've drawn 40% of them, and the away side have won 35% of them. In Kashiwa's away matches, the home side have won 40% of them. There's been 40% of the draws. They've won 20% of them. So if we have a look at the draw at the match here, the recent 20 matches, Kyoto's last 20 home and Kashiwa's last 20 away, it suggests again the draw is quite strong here. Not so good the away side, and the home side, slightly fancied here. Again, if we go through here, first to score, if we go through both teams, the home side has scored first 45% and they've won 62.5% of the games. The away side, they scored first 42.5% and they've gone on to win 56% of the games. So when the team scores first, not necessarily, will they go on to win those games, sort of thing. So there's quite a, team scoring first, they could be opposed. And basically it goes down for 20, 10 and 5 matches. And as you can see, the odds here are representative. So the draw does look here quite strong in these, the recent, both sides' recent form. If we have a look here, the last 20 home fixtures, they've drawn quite a lot, Kyoto, as you can see. Quite a lot of away wins here. Very few home wins. Again, the away side, not very many away wins in this scenario, in the last 20 away fixtures, but still, I would say here, you'd either look to either lay Kyoto or you'd back Kashiwa off scratch, or possibly, I would certainly look to oppose Kyoto either way, either laying Kyoto or backing Kashiwa off scratch. I hope that makes some sense. I'll have a look. We'll go through another game, and I shall speak to you later.